In February of 2020, the Boy Scouts of America filed for a voluntary bankruptcy. They did this because they had over 300 lawsuits alleging sexual abuse of children in the Boy Scouts by people in authority, such as Scout leaders. The really disturbing thing about this investigation is the fact that the Boy Scouts kept secret files, and these secret files were known as perversion files. Records indicate that they had known about these types of cases for up to 100 years. And so it really is a modern day conspiracy. They would keep these files, and the files would have specific information about sexual misconduct committed by these Scout leaders. But yet they would not tell the police, they wouldn't tell the district attorney or anyone, any authorities. They kept everything in-house so they could sweep it under the rug. Sometimes they would deal with it themselves, sometimes they would ignore it, and it was a very dangerous and very much so an abuse of their authority and an abuse of their trust. So because of that, I would say that now, with them being in bankruptcy, with a voluntary reorganization in place, victims, people who have been abused, can file a proof of claim. And there's going to be a special proof of claim known as an abuse proof of claim. And through working with an attorney, victims will be able to receive compensation from what's set up as the Victims' Compensation Trust inside a bankruptcy court. So you could see here, some people refer to it as a trail of betrayal, the fact that they kept these secret files and they knew about the abuse, but for whatever reason, they did not ever alert police who would arrest the perpetrator, who would remove the perpetrator from the organization. Obviously, the district attorney would be able to prosecute a perpetrator and then hold that perpetrator accountable, hold him to justice in a court of law. If he was found guilty, if he was convicted, then he would have to do serious time in prison. And of course, the Boy Scouts organization would have bad publicity from that. So this could be some of the reasons why they hid this information. And in fact, also upon filing bankruptcy, there was a letter by by Jim Turley, the national chair of the Boy Scouts of America. And he wrote a few things in the letter, but one of the things that he admitted was, he said, "I am sorry, I am devastated that there were times in the past when we failed the very children we were supposed to protect." And that's an important point, because the Boy Scouts were supposed to protect these children. The entire purpose of the Boy Scouts was to have children enter, to learn certain things outdoors, doing camping, doing hikes, learning how to, build a fire and certain life skills. So it was, in effect, the purpose of the organization was to foster personal growth of these children, and yet the people in the organization were sometimes almost like wolves in sheep's clothing and abusing these vulnerable children. And he says, "The fact that predators harmed innocent children in scouting programs, for this I am deeply sorry." He mentions the Victims' Compensation Trust and actually says, and this is also an important point, because a lot of the times in our experience litigating sexual abuse cases, victims of sexual abuse are often afraid to come out of the woodwork and to make a claim. They don't want their name out there. There are many reasons, but victims, and especially here with the Boy Scouts, it would be very hard for a victim to come forward and to make an accusation of sexual abuse against a Scout leader in this organization. But here, Mr. Turley, the head of the Boy Scouts, says, "I encourage you and all victims to come forward and file claims so you can receive compensation from this trust. We will provide clear notices about how to do so. And I want you to know that we believe you, we believe in compensating you, and we have programs in place to pay for counseling for you and your family." And he ends by saying, your courage motivates us to do more for children we are entrusted to protect, and we will do better for you, for kids today, and for kids tomorrow. So at least this letter shows that their intentions now are good. They are encouraging kids to come forward, and so there's kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel, a possibility for some kind of compensation for these victims. But it really was a violation of trust, and very importantly, it was also an intent to actively conceal by keeping these secret files. So for us, it's we're very caring and passionate attorneys, and we take these kind of cases not just as a job that you do 9 to 5, but really as a passion, a lifelong cause, a cause for justice and a cause for doing what's right. So we're always available for a confidential consultation and to help anyone who decides to file this proof of claim for compensation with this trust. Thank you so much.